Hello everyone and welcome to the Sunshine Coast Council's 2022 State of Our Region. Today we'll hear from many valued community representatives, showcase some important milestones and achievements over the course of the last year, as well as take a look at the priorities for the year ahead on the Sunshine Coast. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the Sunshine Coast local government area, the Kabi peoples of the coastal plains and the northern hinterland, and the Yinabara peoples of the southern hinterland. May I also pay my respects to elders past, present and to all First Nations people. After a challenging few years for many in our community, the past 12 months has again shown just how resilient, connected and strong the Sunshine Coast community really is. It's been a memorable year with so many historic announcements for our region, from being named a UNESCO Biosphere and joining just 4 other sites in the country to earn this prestigious credential, to establishing the 2032 Sunshine Coast Legacy Plan Community Reference Group to help shape the region's legacy plan ahead of the Brisbane 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games, and recently hosting the Brisbane 2032 Organising Committee Board so they could experience all that our region has to offer. We have inspired a suite of local businesses to tap into a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After all, there is no better place to live, learn, work and play sustainably than right here on our Sunshine Coast. As always, there are many talented, selfless and inspirational people in our community who went above and beyond throughout the course of the year for our region. Join me as we hear some of their stories and achievements from the year that's been and their hopes for the future of our region.
My name's Mark Ellis. Our role here at the Emergency Over Centre is the Community Development Coordinator, and that basically is working with the community and just working out what issues and what they would like to see on the coast here and working with them to help achieve it. Over the last probably a good 7 years now, one of the biggest issues that we have here on the coast is the rising homeless population and housing stress. So out of that, I've developed programs like what we call the One Roof program. So that's a One Roof program that we have a feed and we have 17 different services on a Tuesday or a Thursday night to turn up and just work with people and support the people in our community. And it's all 100% volunteers. There's no paid workers in that. We all basically volunteer and work together just to give people a helping start in life. I think I've always had that thing in me where I would look at people and have compassion for them. My own mother was homeless. When she was young, she was sleeping in a tent on the Yarra River in Melbourne. And I think just listening to her stories and I suppose my own little background has inspired me to actually be recognised for the work that we do. It was very, very humbling. I didn't think that I was actually going to be awarded Citizen of the Year, and I was actually quite shocked. Once my name was called out, it took me a couple of seconds to register and I was like, hang on, that's me. I accept the award and I think it's a brilliant thing, but I also got to recognise that there's a lot of other people behind the scenes that have actually helped me achieve what I've achieved. We get a bit of funding here from Council to run programs. It's actually significant for us as a small organisation, and working with the workers like the community development crew in Council is very beneficial for us because we can actually then work together on projects.
The Sunshine Coast has been a target for many new people looking to move here. That's created a real challenge in housing. And all those new arrivals have forced prices up, both in the rental market as well as the home ownership market, forcing a lot of people out the bottom. And that's a real issue that our community now has to deal with. Council has a plan to do whatever we can to try and minimise that. Everybody again needs to think, well, what contribution can they make about helping put a roof over someone's head?
So we are at Nambour Aquatic Centre today, and we are here to do a program, Migrants Learn to Swim. So we did a tour of the facility and we get to meet different people and getting to know their culture as well, as we are all on the same knot to start and not being embarrassed that we are the only old ones learning and there is all other mature people as well.
It's very important when you live here and you don't know how to swim. You miss out on so many things.
So I would love to take my son to the beach and enjoy on the beach and not worry about drowning, to be honest. Once I think we finish this program, we will be more confident to jump into the water and be able to enjoy as well. And maybe one day surfing too. Who knows?
I met with a group of migrants recently at the Learn to Swim program in Nambour, and they never had an opportunity when they were growing up to learn to swim. They realised how important it is living in a coastal area like the Sunshine Coast, and their kids want to go in the water and swim. So having that opportunity to learn is really quite profound for many of them. And I'm so proud of, again, the people who give their time and support for these programs, because again, people come with certain skills that may not be recognised in Australia, and we can help them find a path to get recognition or to enhance those skills to the point where they can be recognised in Australia. When you think about the current shortage of workers across a plethora of industries, we can't afford to be wasting any talent, and certainly people who come from other parts of the world that may not have quite the same economic prosperity we have, we want them to participate and make a contribution.
My name is Ali Khan and I'm the owner-operator of Narrows Escape Rainforest Retreat, which is up in Montville, Sunshine Coast hinterland. I was born in desert Rajasthan, which is northwest India. My wife, she's half Australian, half Swedish, and she was born in Brisbane. We always loved Queensland, and I never have been to Sunshine Coast, and I wanted to come up here and see the different part of Australia. So we came here and figured out that it's absolutely stunning. It's got beautiful beaches, it's got a beautiful hinterland, got amazing produce, and above all, what really attracted me, that it's very friendly people, very friendly environment, what you actually can come up. And me being an accommodation business person always attract me these kind of places. So find out the Narrows was for sale, and we were lucky enough to secure this beautiful establishment. Touch wood, luckily we've been lucky enough to actually sustain the business how it was. So winning the award, it was the best feeling ever you could ask for. I cried. Being in this industry for 30 years and you get recognized on national level, that's amazing. The amount of publicity you get, that's a very, very important, not for your business, for whole reason, which opened the doors to the many, many different pathways. And that is very important for your reason, for your area to sign up on that stage. My favorite things about Sunshine Coast is great local produce, amazing dairy, great fruits, great veggies, great farms, and above all, it's Australia's beer capital, craft beer capital. Who don't love beer? Absolutely, you rock.
Look, ultimately, community is what we're here for. Developing the economy, developing infrastructure, protecting the environment. We're all geared to providing people with a sense of purpose and satisfaction. I'm very keen to encourage our community to really do the best they can and be the best they can, the way that they, enjoy living in a region like the Sunshine Coast.
My name's Jason Grant and I'm a founder of Barnes Lane Farm. Barnes Lane Farm will be a showcase for the Sunshine Coast agricultural community. It'll be a point of connection for them with the tourist market, but it'll also be a community hub where there'll be entertainment and an opportunity for the broader community to come together.
I love the Sunshine Coast, but I struggled to find employment opportunities that were appealing to. With Barnes Lane Farm, we're really excited to be bringing a range of employment opportunities to the Sunshine Coast.
The biggest draw card for businesses is lifestyle. It's an opportunity to create a better life for yourself in a beautiful environment on the Sunshine Coast, and it's got all the support networks you need to be able to establish or relocate your business to.
Largely what we're trying to create at Barnes Lane Farm is really a destination where tourists can come and understand everything that the Sunshine Coast has to offer within the agricultural space.
The Sunshine Coast has always been a family holiday destination, and the opportunity of Barnes Lane Farm to see that we can relocate here and become an integral part of the community is such a compelling case for us. So that's one of the big drivers behind us wanting to deliver Barnes Lane Farm.
Council's support of local business can be summed up in one very small sentence, and that is that we're setting a big picture plan, encouraging businesses to get on board, understand where they fit in and how they can capitalise on opportunity. But Council's very focused on the need for our community to be able to get a good job, their kids get a good job, so that they can make a meaningful contribution to our community. Council has a range of big picture initiatives through our regional economic development strategy. We really need local entrepreneurs taking risks, creating opportunity for others through their employees to deliver on our economic objectives.
My name's Tisha. I'm a lifeguard on the Sunshine Coast. I've been lifeguarding for almost 10 years now. Started out doing nippers when I was about 8 years old, like a lot of other kids on the Sunshine Coast. During the beginning, I did go around a lot of the beaches on the Sunshine Coast, which was great. Get to know every location. And then now I've been based at Mooloolaba and Mooloolaba Spit, which I love. I think it's really critical to have the lifeguard service on the Sunshine Coast. It is a really big holiday destination here with all of our beautiful beaches. We really need to have as many lifeguards as we we can on all the beaches and making sure everyone's staying in between the red and yellow flags when they do come to visit the Sunshine Coast. So over $5 million is going into the lifeguard service this year from the council, which I think is really great. We have a really important service here and it's amazing that the council recognise that.
The council is very supportive of our surf lifesavers to the tune of $5.7 million a year that we fund of ratepayers' money to keep our beaches safe, to help people understand what they need to be doing when they're in the surf and just give people the confidence and have them at ease when they're on the beaches knowing that they'll be well protected.
Spinal Australia at its core is a disability services organisation that offers everything from personal support and allied health services through to peer support and advocacy. The mobility mapping project was led by Biometrics and delivered in partnership with Spinal Life Australia. And as a test pilot, we literally hit the pavement or pounded the pavement, and basically we mapped 50 kilometres of pavements and streetscapes from Maroochydore through to Mooloolaba.
Well, it means a lot to me to be involved with access and inclusivity because having been in a wheelchair for 30 years myself, I have started to finally see the built environment changing, all because being involved in those different activities, because if you don't become involved, it'll just be the same old thing all the time.
I think it's important that the region and council leads the way in the accessible and inclusive space so that people with disability are more included in the community and are able to move about without barriers and are welcomed in the community space. The 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games definitely add a layer of urgency, or at least give us a deadline for some of these projects in terms of improving the access and inclusion so that people, when they do come for these events, these training and just to visit, are feeling welcomed and are able to get around the community and get to these events.
By then, everything should be done to a universal design, and the easier it is to do things and go places, the less you're going to notice what it's like.
My hopes for the Sunshine Coast community, I guess now, is that people will start to follow council's lead. Businesses, employers, leading the way in terms of employing people with disability, as well as welcoming them into their offering.
We're very conscious that people with mobility issues can find their way around the Sunshine Coast easily, and it's easy sometimes to overlook problems, access problems. You know, they're at the heart and soul of any good community where we're looking to make sure everybody gets to enjoy what's on offer.
My name is Sienna. I'm a Sunshine Coast Youth Council member and I study journalism at USC. I chose to participate in the Youth Council to give myself a voice and to really share what I believe about stuff happening on the Sunshine Coast.
I think it's important for emerging young leaders to join programs like this because you learn so many things about yourself and you get to help other people around you.
It meant a lot to be recognised in the community that I live in. I feel really grateful. Obviously, not everywhere has a youth council and not everyone has the chance to speak up where they live in, so it's really important.
I think young people can bring a lot to our community. We face different challenges than, older people. We can bring these issues up to the council and improve Sunshine Coast as a whole for everyone and for our future as well.
Our youth are extremely important and we're proud to have carried out a very successful community engagement program to hear their concerns, aspirations and goals for our region. After all, they are the future of our Sunshine Coast.
My name is Shrapnel. I grew up here on the Sunshine Coast. I'm raising a family here on the Sunshine Coast and I started a business here on the Sunshine Coast. The Sunshine Coast Biosphere journey has been a rewarding one. Really a cross-section of community, different perspectives, different views, but really a common aim of what it means to be a sustainable region, highlights what really brings us together here as a community in this wonderful part of the world, the Sunshine Coast. There's just so much the community can do to get behind this great initiative, understanding what it means for individuals, for their context, whether you're a business, whether you're a retiree, whether you're raising a young family, thinking about sustainability, thinking about the value of our natural assets and how it's essential that we preserve, protect and enhance those for today, but most importantly into the future.
Our Biosphere designation by UNESCO is an important recognition that this is an area where people and nature live in harmony. It will help us guide future growth of the region in terms of our population. It will help our economic prosperity around that, but it will also make sure our sustainable environment is maintained in the best possible way. Once again, this has been another very busy year on our Sunshine Coast. There's been so many highlights and achievements as we proudly came together and looked ahead to the future. Before we close, I'd like to touch on a few key projects that I'm particularly proud of that will be of great benefit to our region next year and beyond. Council's Garden Organics bin collection service expanded across the Sunshine Coast in July, giving residents an easy and convenient way to recycle their garden waste while helping our environment. To the other 40,000 property owners who are already using this service, thank you for being a disciple of change and inspiring others to do the same. The design concepts for the next wave of improvements to the region's largest beachfront parkland destination, Mooloolaba Foreshore, were revealed to the community. Many of you had your say on what you would like to see. This vital community input will help Council determine the final design of the central meeting place. I'd also like to thank the Sunshine Coast community for embracing one of the largest and most successful engagements ever undertaken on the Sunshine Coast with the draft new planning scheme community consultation. More than 8,000 people had their say on Council's proposed region-wide and local planning directions. The community was generous and insightful in their contribution, and just like our community, views and opinions were diverse. The large volume of feedback has provided a great level of detail for Council to carefully consider when preparing the new planning scheme. Overall, consultation and feedback indicated Council's proposed planning directions for the new planning scheme are guided by the right principles. Preparation of the new planning scheme is expected to take at least another 2 years, and I encourage you to stay up to date on this and other important projects by visiting Council's website. Thanks for joining us for the State of the Region for 2022.